Good morning, Acadiana. It is January the 11th, a Monday. You're listening to Local News Live, a production of AOC Community Media in partnership with the Acadiana Advocate and their team of journalists print the stories important to our community and our state, and we're happy to read you some of those stories. You can hear Local News Live Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on AOC 1, the AOC Community Media channel on YouTube, and on Cypress Street Radio at aocinc.org/CS radio. You can, of course, find the print versions of these stories and more at theadvocate.com. Of course, we couldn't bring you this community service without the generosity of our volunteer news readers, who you've heard many, many times here on the program. We're thankful to be joined by Bruce Cohen this morning on Local News Live. Good morning, Bruce.
Well, a very good morning to you, Mandy. I hope you had a nice weekend, and we're ready to roll out another week. 5 versions of the newspaper Local News Live, and I'm ready to read.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Bruce. I'm going to turn it over and listen in.
Thank you, Mandy. Well, good morning, Acadiana. It is Monday, January 11th. The year is 2021. I'm sure some people out there are still writing 2020 on their checks, if they write checks. But it is the year 2021. So the first story up this morning is in the Acadiana area. Sign calls for violence against media. Police search for a responsible party. Story by Megan Wyatt, staff writer. Police are investigating a sign posted in a Lafayette neighborhood that calls for violence against leaders of national media companies. Excuse me. Little coffee burp there. The cardboard sign, which was a zip tied to a street sign on Roselawn Drive, has been taken down and reported to police, according to a Facebook post in a neighborhood group. The sign said, "Kill on sight CEOs for evil agenda, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS, Facebook, Twitter. Revolution has started. Patriots act now. Give us freedom or give us death." Sergeant Wayne Griffin, spokesperson for the Lafayette Police Department, confirmed that his agency is investigating the incident. Police were notified about the sign Saturday afternoon. There are no suspects in the case, Griffin said. We're still talking to residents to see if they've seen any suspicious activity, Griffin said, and we'll be reviewing video from private residences to see if anyone approached the street sign or whatever. Griffin was not immediately sure of what the charges a person or person responsible for the sign could face. There are a few charges that could apply, Griffin said. I don't know if terrorism would fit, but we'd find the appropriate charge. No other incidents like this have been reported to Lafayette police since Wednesday, when rioters stormed the U.S. Capitol to disrupt Congress's certification of the 2020 election. That is the only one that's been reported to us, Griffin said. But if anybody from the public comes across anything, video or just whatever, definitely share that with us. Retail sales slide again in Lafayette, still highest on record for November, by Adam Daigle, Acadiana business editor. Total retail sales in Lafayette Parish dipped in November from the previous month for the second straight time, but was still the highest total on record for the month. The parish recorded $551.4 million in total sales for the month, down from $568.7 million in October, and the $602 million in September, according to data released by the Lafayette Economic Development Authority, or LEDA. It was the most recorded for November, topping the $502 million in 2014, when the parish posted a record $6.4 billion in sales. With the yearly total at $5.76 billion, sales could top last year's $6.34 billion and move toward the 2014 record if sales end up topping $583 million in December. Estimated sales are the highest on record for the month of November, and we are on track to the end of the year with sales topping $6 billion, Authority President and CEO Greg Gothrow said. As we enter a new year, it's important to continue the shop local mindset to support our neighbors, friends, and family as the pandemic and energy downturn continues. Total sales also dipped in the city of Lafayette from the previous month, $379.5 million in November after $392 million in October and $420 million in September. November's total was also the highest on record for that month. Only Karen Crow reported an increase in total sales from the previous month, rising to just under $28 million in November after recording $27.8 million in October. The total was also the highest on record for the North Lafayette Parish City for the third straight month. Every other municipality in the parish reported a dip in total retail sales from the previous 2 months, albeit slightly. Broussard dropped by over 3 million sales since September, the largest drop among the 6 municipalities. Other data points in the city of Lafayette include the $24.8 million in sales at grocery stores pushed the yearly total to $275.3 million, the highest on record, with a month remaining. Grocery stores continue to be a big winner during the pandemic, with sales that have not dipped below $23 million since it began after topping that mark in only 7 months in the previous 2 years. Restaurant sales dipped to $29.8 million and it remained 10.5% behind last year's total as owners face limited seating capacities due to the pandemic. Sales at bars and nightclubs improved to $2.4 million, but sales are 31% behind last year's total due to the pandemic. Hardware sales were at $1.9 million, putting the city closer to setting a new record thanks to the pandemic keeping people at home. It pushed the yearly total to $26 million, 18% above 2019's pace, and just under $1 million behind the record $26.9 million from 2017. Diesel sales continued to plummet, with 25,321 in sales in November, the lowest month recorded since 2011. It put the yearly total at nearly half the previous year. Hotel-motel receipts dipped to $4.2 million after 2 months of over $7 million in hurricanes Laura and Delta displaced Lake Charles area residents. Sales tax collection numbers are gathered by the Lafayette Parish School System. If you have any information, you can email Adam Daigle at Daigle, D-A-I-G-L-E, theadvocate.com for any information regarding the business sector of Acadiana. Now we'll take our first public service announcement break. ARCH needs your help to help the homeless. Everyone should have shelter, and Louisiana nights are getting colder. Due to COVID-19 and concerns for community spread, there has been a dramatic decrease in available shelter beds. That means many experiencing homelessness may have no other option than to sleep on the street. Throughout this pandemic, Acadiana Regional Coalition on Homelessness and Housing, or ARCH, has been able to utilize local hotel and motel rooms as a temporary housing solution. From there, case managers help our fellow Acadians transition to permanent housing. ARCH is very proud of their success in keeping those they serve safe from COVID-19 and on the way to long-term stability. However, the number of homeless is growing, and ARCH needs your help to get the neighbors out of the code and into warm, safe housing. Can you help today? If so, please go to ARCH Acadiana, that's ARCH Acadiana.org. And if you prefer to donate by check, you can mail it to ARCH, ARCH, P.O. Box 3936, Lafayette, LA, 70502. Okay, we'll continue with Acadiana news. Moonshiner claims discovery win. New Iberian Man appears on TV competition by Megan Wyatt, staff writer. Richard Landry, a truck driver by trade and an avid sportsman, is still getting used to his newfound fame as a distiller. The humble New Iberian Man went from moonshiner to master distiller overnight after winning a national competition that recently aired on Discovery. Landry, 49, is a self-taught distiller who's been making moonshine at his New Iberia home for about a decade. He became interested in the craft while watching Discovery's Moonshiners, never expecting that he one day would be featured in the same network's newer series, Moonshiners Master Distiller. I just got hooked, Landry said. I was fascinated by the idea that people were actually making alcohol, and I thought I could do it too. And I went through their progressions and their successes and their failures and graduated from Moonshiners University. Moonshiners University isn't a real thing, but Landry sometimes feels like he's earned a degree in distilling. I've been through so many failures, Landry said. I'll see a failure that someone's done on the show, and I try to do that. And I have to go through real process to get a failure so I can see what they did wrong and not, replicate it. So when we try to emulate a failure, and it's real hard to do, to go through the steps to get to a failure, to me, that's like graduating from college. The opportunity to be featured on Master Distiller came about through a Facebook message last fall. Landry said he initially thought it was a scam, but his girlfriend did a little online research and assured him it was a real pitch from a TV producer. Landry traveled to Gatlinburg, Tennessee in October to compete and film over a 10-day period. Landry and his competitors were tasked with making Cherry Bounce, a fruit-infused spirit that was a favorite among the nation's first president. George Washington is said to have bought a canteen of his wife's Cherry Bounce with him during major trips. Landry was inspired by the very recipe while making his version of the spirit. "I'm following Martha," Landry said during the episode. "Martha said to do this, Martha Washington, not Martha Stewart." Landry's version of Cherry Bounce features a roasted cherry pits along with fresh cherries and cherry juice, vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, lemon juice, agave, crystallized honey, and molasses. Landry lost the first challenge during the competition, but ultimately wowed the judges with his finished product. "You are the spice king," one judge said. "I mean, it's obvious you know more about spices than a damn jackrabbit knows about running." "It's totally different than anything I've ever had," another chimed in. "Seems like a whiskey that I'd sit down and start drinking and find myself on the floor before I got up," the third said. Landry is still stunned that he won the competition, especially because he was up against an industrial mechanic from Ohio who comes from a long line of moonshine makers and a professional distiller and biochemist from South Carolina. "I don't come from the background a lot of these people come from," Landry said. "I'm still in awe that I actually won this. I learned how to do this from the individuals that judged me. To hear them say this is good I'm still having a hard time taking it in." He watched his episode, which kicked off the second season of Master Distiller, alongside his parents when it aired on December 29th. "The whole experience was just awesome," Landry said. "To sit down and watch it in 1 hour and relive 10 days of awesomeness was amazing to me. It wasn't so much the winning, it was just seeing how it all happens and meeting the pros." Landry doesn't come from a long line of moonshiners. In fact, before the competition, he had never met another black distiller. "I don't know anyone that looks like me that does this," Landry said. "I've since met someone, but I've never met anyone in my area or my state that looks like me." Landry actually comes from a long line of law enforcement. His father is a retired police officer. His uncle was the first black colonel of the Louisiana State Police. He has family members who uphold the law as judges. Landry says he respects the law and those tasked with enforcing it in the state of Louisiana. Laws are a little lax. Landry said it's not illegal in most states to own a moonshine still. It's illegal to sell untaxed alcohol here. Making moonshine is more of a gray area. Landry has experimented with making just about every kind of spirit from any kind of ingredient he can find. He's especially fond of making rum from local ingredients, including sugar cane and sweet potatoes. "I like merging flavors," Landry said. "I like finding the beneficial qualities in different things while making a base with and merging those flavors, not just on taste, but for beneficial qualities. I would like to be the first alcohol that's actually good for you." Landry, who distills alongside his younger brother, hopes to one day open a distillery. There's no timeline for when that might happen at this point. "This experience has taught me patience, to just take your time," Landry said. "We're going to take our time and make sure we do everything right. We want to make sure everything's straight. When we're ready, we'll jump in head first." Landry's liquor won't be widely available to purchase anytime soon, but you can try his award-winning spirit from the show. A limited run of Landry's Cherry Bounce will be made and sold at Sugarland's Distilling Company, which is based in Gatlinburg, in the coming months. The season premiere of Moonshine's Master Distiller, featuring Landry, can be watched online at go.discovery.com. New episodes of the show air at 8 p.m. Tuesdays on Discovery. Next up, diocesan priest to serve in D.C. role, named to post with U.S. Conference of Bishops by Ken Stickney, staff writer. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops in Washington, D.C. has appointed a Lafayette parish priest to the position of Associate Director of the Secretariat of Divine Worship. The Most Reverend J. Douglas Desautels, Bishop of the Diocese of Lafayette, made the announcement, revealing that the Reverend Dustin P. Doubt, 34, a Lafayette native who serves as pastor at St. Leo the Great Catholic Church, will begin his duties in Washington on February 8th. The term is for 3 years. Doubt will continue his diocesan role as director of the Office of Worship and Liturgy, working remotely. Doubt has also served as chaplain at Trillians High School in Lafayette. I am humbled to receive this invitation to serve the bishops of the United States and their respective dioceses, Doubt said in a statement. I look forward to supporting them in their mission of liturgical information, formation, and celebration. This diocese said in a prepared statement that the Divine Worship Secretariat has many roles, including overseeing liturgical celebrations for the conference's national meetings, which occur in November and June. The office also prepares for publication books used in Catholic parishes and liturgical formation, and also serves as a resource for the bishops. At least part of Doubt's duties will be directed towards the preparation of books for use in U.S. churches. Those duties correspond to his preparation first at Seton Hall University in New Jersey, where he studied diplomacy and international relations, and decided to pursue priestly work at St. Joseph in Covington, where he earned his bachelor's degree in theology and philosophy, and in studies at Catholic University in Washington, where he earned a bachelor's in sacred theology and a license in liturgical studies. His own thesis research at a Catholic university involved why the bishops gave permission to use vernacular after the Second Vatican Council, which prepared him in part for the work he will do. At least part of his efforts in Washington will relate to translation from Latin for use in English-speaking dioceses. The text he receives will be in English. Every translation is a betrayal, he said, in reference to the suggestion from Italian that translators move away from the author's words and add their own words for clarification. Doubt, whose languages include Latin, said we can't fully communicate the meaning of a Latin text. It has its own thought world. We try to communicate it accurately and do it in a way that is beautiful in English. He said the church as a body is growing into translation after moving away from Latin in the 1960s and embracing the language of the individual country. U.S. Catholics will see the completed work in translation and publications for use in their churches. There's a process that governs that work. The office he works in will receive works from Rome and study and review them before advising U.S. bishops about them. The bishops will review these materials and propose amendments, which may and may not be approved. I don't approve anything, he said. Those decisions rest with the bishops, who may seek some advice from the office that Doubt will serve. The work will also include the study of the liturgy, including the sacraments for use in the U.S. Catholic Church. Such study includes review of the history of the sacrament. We look at the way Christian liturgy was celebrated throughout history to understand celebration in the present. He said, questions for research might include, what did Christian initiation look like in the first 5 centuries? The ordination of bishops, what did Mass look like in the Middle Ages? In discovering those things, learning about them, that we come to fully understand liturgy in present days. In making liturgical modifications, he said, the review process helps keep intact the Church's history and intentions of the liturgy. Dow said he relishes the opportunity to research and learn, which he said will make a better parish priest, a role he said he has relished since his ordination in 2013. Dowd is the son of Dusty and Pat Dowd, who converted to Catholicism when he was in elementary school. He has a sister, Taylor Lucas. His assignment since being ordained as a diocesan priest includes St. Anthony at Padua and Eunice and Annunciation of the Blessed Virgin Mary and Doralde before he was appointed pastor at St. Leo. Next up, it can be a real game changer. An initiative aims to overhaul Louisiana high schools by Will Santel, staff writer, turning to State News. Leaders of Louisiana's public schools, colleges, and universities are launching an ambitious program to remake high schools and the wasted senior year and better prepare students for college or a career. The program, called Fast Forward, would allow juniors and seniors to spend most of their time earning an associate degree, taking classes at a community or technical college, a state-approved satellite campus, or taking part in an apprenticeship. We know that the entry point of work now is seldom the high school degree, State Superintendent of Education Cade Brumley said. The entry point of work also requires a credential, an apprenticeship, an associate degree, or a professional degree. Commissioner of Higher Education Kim Hunter-Reid said the overhaul is nothing short of a bid to reimagine what a high school looks like. We need it because we need to make sure that high schools are more relevant to today's students, Reid said. It can be a real game changer. One of the driving forces behind the push is the tiny number of high school students who earn associate degrees while in high school, 159 out of 42,650 graduates in the latest tally. It's not even 1/3%, Brumley noted. Louisiana also has long had low numbers of students who take classes for both high school and college credit, dual enrollment, amid problems on how to finance them and make them accessible to students in rural areas. Billy, 1 in 5 high school juniors and seniors were pursuing college classes in high school in the most recent count. At the same time, only 40% of high school seniors take a full course load. Reid said the new options address the issue of the wasted senior year. The plan would give students 3 options that would drastically change their 3rd and 4th years of high school. One would allow students who pursue a career in technical education diploma called Jumpstart to earn a technical associate degree on college campuses with courses that also earn them high school credits. Another option would let students who plan to attend a 4-year university earn an associate degree that would allow them to start college as juniors. The third path will let students pursue an apprenticeship approved by the Louisiana Workforce Commission that would put them on the path to a substantive job after high school. The 9th and 10th grades would remain largely unchanged, students taking core academic classes for meeting their high school diploma requirements. The plan has won approval from the State Board of Elementary and Secondary Education and the Board of Regents. Last week, the State Department of Education issued a request for applications to start the effort in 8 regions across the state. Grants of up to $50,000 will be awarded to regional secondary school systems and higher education officials in each area to start mapping plans and prepare pilot projects. Education leaders hope students can start pursuing the new options in the next few years. Officials with Baton Rouge Area Chamber have been involved in the planning. Liz Smith, Vice President for Economic Competitiveness for the Chamber, said the overhaul carries the added benefit of making better use of community and technical colleges. We just know that we really underutilize community colleges here in Louisiana, Smith said. We underutilize them in a variety of ways, and one of those ways is in dual enrollment. Smith acknowledged that high school students can pursue associate degrees today. What this does is it motivates people to actually do it. She said, if this is going to make it so that more kids have easier access to the community college programs, so that dual enrollment credit, it spurs adults to do the right things for students. Michael Hecht, President and CEO of Greater New Orleans Incorporated, said the program can have an impact. I think that the Fast Forward program is recognizing what the students and businesses are demanding in today's world, Hecht said. Students are demanding an education that will lead to a well-paying job, and businesses are asking for students who have work-ready skills on day one. By blurring the lines between a high school degree and an associate degree, the Fast Forward initiative should not only help students get a more valuable education quicker, It should also help our two-year institutions more efficiently and fully utilize their resources. The next state story we turn to, some Louisiana bars fighting to stay open, challenges continue to restrictions, by Megan Wyatt, staff writer. Liz Brose says Red's Levee bar is legal as can be and has been for nearly 70 years, even though the small bar in rural St. Martin Parish has been without an alcohol permit for the better part of a month. The bar, which is attached to Brose home in the community of Catahoula, temporarily lost its permit after the Louisiana Office of Alcohol and Tobacco Control on December 3rd investigated a complaint against the business and found that the bar was serving 6 people without social distancing and not wearing a mask according to court documents. Instead of negotiating with the ATC to get its license back, which often happens in similar cases, Bro chose to sue Governor John Bel Edwards. I am a small business owner, and I'm just fighting for my rights to make an honest living and help other people out while doing it, Bro said. I haven't gotten rich, and I don't plan on getting rich by running my little bar. This is a legacy that my mommy and daddy opened in 1952, and I'm just keeping on the legacy. The lawsuit claims the governor's COVID-19 restrictions are not in effect, while Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry appeals to 19th District Judge William Morvan's ruling that a move by State House Republicans to nullify those restrictions was unconstitutional. A St. Martin Parish judge agreed on December 15th to temporarily block enforcement of the restrictions against Red's Levee bar. That decision was reversed, however, during a December 28th pretrial hearing when the judge heard arguments and ruled to remove the injunction. I had someone at the bar ready to open with customers waiting outside to support me when the decision came in, Bro said. Bro will go before the ATC this week to find out if her bar's alcohol license will be reinstated or revoked. Red's Levee Bar is one of 59 establishments in Louisiana that have received suspensions for habitual noncompliance with COVID-19 restrictions, according to ATC Commissioner Ernest Legier. None of the 59 have had their alcohol permits permanently revoked. Suspended businesses are placed on probation and execute an agreement in which they agree to abide by compliance rules, Legier said. Should those rules be violated within the term of the prohibition, a predetermined penalty is automatically instituted. Enforcement actions are somewhat rare, considering the agency has conducted more than 10,000 compliance inspections in the past 8 months. Business owners with suspended licenses have generally gone before the ATC and agreed to follow the guidelines set forth by the governor to have their permits reinstated. Jeff Wittenbrink, the Baton Rouge attorney representing Bro's case, said the plans to negotiate with the ATC, mentioning that he would appeal the decision if the license is revoked. A lot of these bars owners become intimidated and decide they're going to simply comply, regardless of what the law actually is, because if they comply, then they can get their license back and they can sort of limp along like everybody else, Wittenbrink said. There's hope that the end of the pandemic and the restrictions that have come with it is in sight now that the COVID-19 vaccines are finally being administered in Louisiana. The population awaiting vaccination far outnumbers the number of available vaccines, however, as the third surge of the coronavirus outbreak in Louisiana rages on. Edwards' administration has largely shied away from issuing penalties against businesses who run afoul of the rules, which require reduced capacity, masks, and other restrictions. Instead, the State Fire Marshal's Office, or ATC, typically sends staffers to ask the businesses to follow the rules. The ATC commissioner cannot comment on specific cases, including Red's Levee Bar, but Legier did share the thought process behind the agency's enforcement actions. In most cases, business owners are working very hard under extraordinary circumstances to do the right thing. As a result, our agency has only pursued suspension and fines in the most egregious of circumstances, Legier said. Recently, however, a small group of business owners have taken a position which directly challenges the authority of the agency. These permit holders have chosen to ignore rules and suspension orders issued by the agency. In lieu of arrest, which is authorized by statute, I have made the decision to issue revocation orders in these cases. If upheld after hearing, and offending businesses will have its permit revoked, will not have the ability to purchase alcohol from wholesalers as required by law, and will be subject to local authority discretion as to whether they will be arrested and prosecuted for selling alcohol without a permit. These businesses should take note that a revoked permit will not be reissued. Brosted Red's Levy Bar has not been open for business since December 27th, the day before the St. Martin Parish judge ruled against the bar. She has, however, admitted to having people inside the bar in the 2 weeks since then. It's connected to my house, so it's like an extension of my home. Every once in a while, my friends or a few people will come over, but they bring their own beer, so I'm not selling anything. Bro said during the Wednesday phone interview. Tonight, I have my first cousin, my best friend, and a girl that works for me over here. We're sitting underneath the patio right now, and if it gets too cold, we're going to sit inside. Wittenbrink, who represented the Reverend Tony Spell after the pastor held massive church services early in the pandemic in violation of the governor's orders, said he believes bar owners like Bro are being unfairly targeted. Bars should be treated the same as restaurants. They should be held to the same standards. They're not truly different, Wittenbrink said. The lawyer actually contracted COVID-19 early in the pandemic and spent 2 weeks in the hospital before returning home when he needed supplemental oxygen for 2 more weeks. What sustained him during that time, Wittenbrink said, was his faith in God in his fight against the governor's restrictions. Wittenbrink said he has recently spent time at a bar inside a restaurant with much greater capacity than Red's Levy Bar. He said none of the customers were masked as they drank in the restaurant bar. It's an example of why he believes the governor's restrictions are unfair and why he thinks Bro has a case worth fighting for. I just remember sitting there feeling really terrible for my poor client in St. Martin Parish who doesn't have a restaurant attached but could be serving drinks in exactly the same configuration as this place in Baton Rouge, Wittenbrink said. The rules are arbitrary, they don't make sense, and it's a horrible, horrible injustice upon all these people who are not being allowed to do business. Bro said the customers have the right to accept the risk that comes with mingling with people, sometimes unmasked, in an enclosed space. She's known plenty of people who have become sick with the virus, and even a few have died as a result. Her friend and fellow bar owner in nearby New Iberia died of COVID-19 complications, Bro said, not noting it's unclear how he contracted the virus. Doyle Coppell, who was 60 years old and perfectly healthy, passed away from it, Bro said. It was all about life and loving everybody, just a good person and businessman. He even made a joke when the coronavirus first came out. He had a picture with 2 cases of corona here in New Iberia, bless his heart. He left behind a beautiful wife and kid. But I'll tell you this, he didn't feel like it was right that the bars were being targeted. All right, well, let's move on. We're at our midpoint in our broadcast this morning. So usually what we do is we do the day in history and the zodiac or horoscope, as I like to refer to it as. So today is Monday, January 11th. It's the 11th day of 2021. There are potentially 354 shopping days left in the year. Today's highlight in history on January 11th, 2020, health authorities in the central Chinese city of Wuhan reported the first death from what had been identified as a new type of coronavirus. The patient was a 61-year-old man who had been a frequent customer at a food market linked to the majority of cases there. On this date in 1815, Sir John A. Macdonald, the first Prime Minister of Canada, was born in Glasgow, Scotland. In 1861, Alabama became the 4th state to withdraw from the Union. In 1908, President Theodore Roosevelt proclaimed the Grand Canyon National Monument and later became a national park in 1919. 1927, the creation of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences was proposed during a dinner at Hollywood luminaries at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles. 1935, the aviator Amelia Earhart began an 18-hour trip from Honolulu to Oakland, California that made her the first person to fly solo across any part of the Pacific Ocean. In 1964, U.S. Surgeon General Luther Terry issued Smoking and Health. A report concluded that cigarette smoking contributes substantially to mortality from certain specific diseases and to the overall death rate. 1978, two Soviet cosmonauts aboard the Suez 27 capsule linked up with the Salyut 6 orbiting space station, where the Suez 26 capsule was already docked. In 1989, 9 days before leaving the White House, President Ronald Reagan bade the nation farewell in a prime-time address, saying of his 8 years in office, "We meant to change a nation, and instead we changed a world." In 2001, the Army acknowledged that U.S. soldiers killed an unknown number of South Korean refugees early in the Korean War at No-Gun-Ri, but said there was no evidence they were ordered to do so. In 2010, Miep Gies, the Dutch office secretary who defied Nazi occupiers to hide Anne Frank and her family for 2 years and saved the teenager's diary, died at the age of 100. 10 years ago, during a public mass at St. Odelia Catholic Church in Tucson, Arizona, several hundred mourners remembered the victims of the shooting rampage that killed 6 people and wounded Representative Gabriel Giffords. 5 years ago, gunmen stormed into a Baghdad mall, killing 18 people. The Islamic State group claimed responsibility. Also 5 years ago, Northern Ireland lawmakers appointed Arlene Foster as the first female leader of their unity government. 1 year ago, Iran admitted that its military had unintentionally shot down a Ukrainian jetliner 3 days earlier, killing 176 people aboard. The statement blamed human error for the shootdown, which took place just hours after Iran launched a barrage of missiles at U.S. forces. Looking at today's birthdays, former Canadian Prime Minister Jean Chrétien is 87 years old today. Actor Mitch Ryan, 87. Movie director Joe Swick is 79. Country singer Naomi Judd is 75. World Golf Hall of Famer Ben Crenshaw is 69. Singer Robert Earl Keen from Texas is 65. Actor Kim Coles is 59. Actor Jason Connery, not sure if he's related to Sean Connery, could be, it's 58. Movie director Michael D. Lee is 51. Singer Mary J. Blige is 50. Musician Tom Rowlands from the Chemical Brothers is 50. And actor Rockman Dunbar is 48. And reality TV star Jason Whaler is 34 today. Looking at the zodiac or the horoscope, Capricorns, take action. Let past occurrences guide you to make a better decision now regarding money, matters, health, and contracts. Romance is encouraged. Aquarius, look for the positive in every situation you face. Concentrate on what you can accomplish and stop worrying about what you leave undone. Spend more time sorting through clutter. Pisces, you'll gain insight into how best to use your time and skills to reach your goal. A promotion or positive change will result in greater cash flow and connections to people who can help you advance. Aries, changes going on around you will be a sign of what's to come. Analyze every scenario carefully. Call on someone you trust to offer a second opinion. Taurus, reach out to experts and those who have helped you in the past. Invest time, money, and effort into a lifelong goal. A surprise will put you in a unique position with numerous options. Gemini, keep your wits about you. Look at every possibility. Gather information that will help you make the best decision. Do your own thing and follow the path that excites you most. Cancer, partnerships will make a difference. Choose people who have something to contribute, not those who ride your coattails. Collaborate with someone who has the skills you lack. Leo, confusion will set in regarding work and what you want to pursue. A change may not be welcome initially, but it will push you to create an opportunity to do something you enjoy. Virgo, my birth sign, set up a place at home conducive to learning or physical fitness. And focus on strength, fitness, and being your very best. Nurture a meaningful relationship and be romantic. Libra, question anything and anyone who makes you feel the least bit uncertain. Knowledge is critical. Take better care of your health, diet, and possessions. Scorpio, get along with friends and family is encouraged. Use your imagination and you'll to deter others from putting you on the spot. Concentrate on love, peace, and happiness. And finally, Sagittarius. Lessons from the past will help you make better decisions. Be resourceful, check facts and anything, question anything or anyone suspicious, protect your reputation. And as always, a horoscope is an entertainment feature not based on scientific fact. Okay, and what I've been doing, if you listened to my broadcast last week, I started with, and I don't see it up here. Maybe I'll start tomorrow with it. I was doing, Rolling Stone had 80 musicians, noteworthy musicians who passed away in the year 2020. And I usually have it up, but I don't have it up this morning. So we'll just go ahead and I'll continue with that tomorrow morning. But for now, we'll go to the state news. Continuing with state news. Experts, vaccination mandates a murky area by Emily Woodruff, staff writer. After receiving a shot of the coronavirus vaccine, a dose of growing community immunity isn't the only thing recipients leave with. They also get a small white card with their name, date of birth, the type of vaccine received, and the date to return for the second dose. It's unclear how the cards will be used beyond serving as a reminder to return for the second dose. But as most people get inoculated, perhaps it's not hard to imagine a world in which that white card would need to be flashed to board an airplane, enter another country, or even go to work or school. But whether people can be required to receive the vaccine is a murky topic, experts say. Coronavirus vaccines, which are about 95% effective, have the power to end the pandemic if enough people take them. But as hospitals are seeing around the U.S., not everyone wants them just yet. At Ochsner Health, the largest hospital system in Louisiana, only half of its 32,000 plus employees have opted to take the vaccine, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Robert Hart said on Wednesday. At LCMC Health, which operates 6 hospitals in the New Orleans area, 55% to 60% of employees, contractors, and medical staff have taken them. And at New Orleans East Hospital's 105 of 399 employees, just 26% have received the shot. If workers refuse the vaccines, employers are in a tricky position when it comes time for non-essential employees to return to work in person. By law, employers must provide a safe environment for employees, but mandating a vaccine might not be accepted by some employees or customers. The big problem, and I suspect why many still will not require it, is that they're worried about pushback, said Charles Stolkier, a healthcare economist and vaccine policy expert at Tulane University. The measures to mitigate this plague have become political, and that's made it a hot topic. They have customers that take measures to mitigate spread, and other customers pretty outspoken about not taking mitigation. But a mandate would make some employees feel more comfortable about returning and would ultimately make the business healthier financially, as demonstrated by flu vaccination rates in the workplace, Stokier said. There have been a ton of studies showing the benefit of the influenza vaccination in the workplace to employees, says Stokier. This is one of the reasons employee-sponsored health insurance covers the influenza vaccine for free. Legally, businesses and schools can require vaccinations. Hospitals, for example, require employees to get a yearly flu vaccine. Kindergartners are required by the state to get 5 different vaccines by the time they start school. Most public and private universities require students to show proof of immunity against a number of diseases. As a result, most adults in the workplace are already vaccinated against infectious diseases, but when it comes to the coronavirus vaccines, it can be a tricky legal predicament. HR people right now are going crazy, said Joel Freeman, a Tulane law professor and expert on employment discrimination. Labor lawyers are busier than they have been. It's a nightmare that we'll hopefully will get out of. While businesses could require the vaccine, certain protections would make it complicated. The Americans with Disabilities Act says employers can't discriminate against people with disabilities. In this case, that might be someone with a medical condition who can't receive the vaccine, or someone with an allergy that prohibits it. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 would also allow exemptions based on religion. In those cases, employees need to make reasonable accommodations under employment laws, Friedman said. Hospitals, for example, require people who don't take the flu vaccine to wear a mask during flu season. But allowing an employee to be exempt from the coronavirus vaccine could create an unsafe work environment for other employees, Friedman said. If you were a company hiring me to give you advice, I would say as a general manager, if you want to require immunizations, I think that's a good idea. But be aware that people with religious beliefs or disabilities may come to you and ask for an accommodation, said Friedman. You will have to determine whether exempting them from this policy is reasonable in light of your other obligations, which are to promote safety in the workplace for everybody else, both for employees and customers. People who work for public institutions may have another course of action, claiming that taking the vaccine is a political statement protected under the First Amendment. Private sector employees do not have those same protections, Friedman said. That would be an interesting argument, said Friedman. Action can be some symbolic speech. That's like the burning of a flag. It's protected. Right now, businesses and governmental agencies have not made a decision on a mandate because the vaccine is not widely available. Most institutions are using a carrot approach, encouraging employees to get the vaccine when available and making it easy for them to get it. Officials from both the states and New Orleans said the government would strongly encourage employees to get it as they would residents. Tulane University, which touted its in-person return safety protocols as some of the most stringent in the country, said it is not mandating the vaccine, but also strongly encourages once it's available. An LSU representative said it was being discussed. The vaccine is part of the university's conversations, but nothing has been finalized yet there, LSU spokesman Ernie Ballard said in an email. Large employers like this Audubon Institute also said no decisions were being made. However, if a vaccine mandate does become necessary, hospitals and universities will be most likely places for it to be implemented, Stolkier said. Small businesses would also have an easy time mandating the vaccine because they have fewer employees to convince and are subject to less public attention. But all of those decisions are months away when demand is not as high and there is a better read on how many people are interested in getting the vaccine. Continuing with the vaccine story, vaccine rollout to nursing homes slow by Yusuf Ardad and Faman A. Roberts III staff writers. Even though an increasing number of Louisiana's most vulnerable residents in long-term care centers are receiving the COVID-19 vaccine, it could still be several weeks before the grim realities of the coronavirus pandemic abate, and with infections rising, the lumbering effort to protect them could not come soon enough. Nearly 2 weeks after pharmacy giants Walgreens and CVS began administering the COVID-19 vaccine in Louisiana nursing homes and long-term care facilities, barely more than 5,000 residents and staff have received their first doses as of Friday, according to numbers from the Louisiana Department of Health and CVS. About 5,100 vaccines have been administered in long-term care facilities, according to a State Department of Health spokesperson. That includes about 5,600 to residents and 1,500 to staff, she said. Those numbers are lower than the numbers reported online by CVS on Friday. However, the drugstore chain reported administering about 5,300 vaccines in Louisiana. Similar numbers were not provided by Walgreens. It's unclear why there is a discrepancy in the numbers, though CVS says the numbers it reports to states could be delayed. More than 80,000 people in Louisiana, including healthcare workers and people over 70, have already received the first of 2 doses of vaccines since their efforts began last month, in an effort that has been criticized for its slowness. Like the rollout of vaccines in hospitals and for healthcare workers to push at nursing homes have been slower than hoped, it also comes while infections in nursing homes are skyrocketing, with more than 500 new cases reported this past week statewide, and some homes reporting dozens of new infections. The state does not report weekly increases of long-term care facilities that are not nursing homes. The 2 drugstore chains, which have contracted with the federal government to provide vaccinations to residents and staff at long-term care facilities nationwide, have vowed to complete the first round of vaccines nationwide by January 25th. The vaccine push is being hailed as a crucial step in gaining an upper hand against a virus that's killed more than 350,000 nationwide. And Louisiana, the coronavirus has killed more than 2,500 nursing home residents and sickened thousands of employees at long-term care centers, according to state health department data compiled by the Advocate and the Times-Picayune. The state has nearly 7,500 deaths overall, according to state data reported on Sunday. David Tardo, whose 92-year-old mother, Latrice Lobel, lives in Forest Manor, said the home has returned to the status it was in the early days of the pandemic. Forest Manor is in St. Tammany Parish. Residents are largely confined to their rooms, and visitation, which was allowed in the fall as case numbers dropped, and has been suspended again, though some visits through closed doors are allowed. She said it's very quiet, Tardo said. Forest Manor is hardly alone. More than a dozen homes reported double-digit increases in cases in the week that ended Wednesday. 4 homes reported more than 20 cases, including Chateau Living Center of Kenner, which reported 43 new cases, according to the state's data. Their officials said they had suspended visitation for the foreseeable future and were testing residents and staff twice weekly per state and federal protocols. Public health officials have stressed that keeping the virus out of homes housing the elderly is critical to keeping hospital admissions stable. A large outbreak at a nursing home, as was seen in the early months of the pandemic, often see hospitals hit with a wave of patients who are more prone to more severe illnesses from COVID-19. Okay, we'll take a quick break, public service announcement break, and then we'll wind up with our sports for the morning. The Pieces of Hope virtual open mic. On Wednesday, January 27th at 7 p.m., the Festival Awards host Pieces of Hope virtual open mic on Zoom for 16 years. For 16 years, the festival has hosted the Grand Coteau-based event featuring writers, musicians, and storytellers. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, the creative community will gather online. Coming together is an act of hope. Come to share or just to listen and enjoy. The 2-hour open mic presents 20 writers and performers, each performing for 5 minutes. Performers are from Lafayette and all over the country. Make yourself a drink, grab some cheese and crackers, and sit back to enjoy some exquisite performances that will soothe, entertain, and enlighten. To join, go to the Facebook page for Pieces of Hope Virtual Open Mic. The link to the Zoom Cafe will be available the week of the event. Or you can contact Martha Garner at fowmartha@gmail.com or call 337-804-2482. This is a free community event. It's suitable for all ages and is sponsored by the Festival Awards Cultural Arts Collective. Okay, and finally in our sports, well, you should all know by now that the Saints advanced to divisional round after beating the Bears in a wild card slugfest by Amy Just, staff writer. It wasn't pretty for the New Orleans Saints, but in a game that featured the return of several star players, the Saints came away with a sweet 21-9 victory yesterday over the Chicago Bears to advance in the playoffs. The Saints will play at home again next Sunday against a familiar opponent, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and quarterback Tom Brady, whom New Orleans beat twice during the regular season. Sunday's game marked a comeback for several Saints starters, including running back Alvin Kamara, receivers Michael Thomas and Deontay Harris, and safeties C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Marcus Williams. Kamara, who missed last week's game after he tested positive for coronavirus, carried the ball 23 times for 99 yards rushing and added 17 yards receiving on 2 catches. Harris, who hasn't played a game since November 22nd because of a neck injury that relegated him to the injured reserve, led the Saints in yards receiving. The Assumption College product caught all 7 passes thrown his way for a career-high 83 yards receiving. Thomas finished right behind Harris, catching 5 passes from Breeze for 73 yards. The Saints and the Bears hopped out to a slow start offensively. Both teams scored once in their first 4 drives. New Orleans got on the board first, capping off a 50-yard drive with an 11-yard reception by Thomas for his first touchdown since December 22nd, 2019. The Bears scored 2 drives later when Tulane product Cario Santos made a 36-yard field goal midway through the second quarter. Scoring might have cooled down until midway in the third quarter, but tempers ran hot. Early in the third quarter, Gardner Johnson was punched by Bears receiver Anthony Miller, making the second time this season Gardner Johnson has instigated a fight against the Bears that prompted the ejection of a Chicago receiver. On November 1st in Chicago, Bears receiver Javon Wims punched Gardner Johnson after Gardner Johnson ripped off his mouth guard. Gardner Johnson wasn't flagged for that, but he was later fined for his actions. Wims, in the moment, was tossed and subsequently suspended for 2 games. The possession after Miller got tossed Sunday, the Saints finally found the end zone again, doing so after running back Latavius Murray bailed out Breeze. The Bears scored once more as time expired as former Saints tight end Jimmy Graham reeled in a 19-yard catch from quarterback Mitch Trubisky on the final play. An extra point was an attempt. And an injury update, Taysom Hill missed a bit of time in the first quarter after a lengthy stay in the medical tent, but he later returned to the field. Latavius Murray went into the injury tent near the end of the third quarter, later walking to the locker room. And again, the Saints will play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 5:40 p.m. Sunday in the divisional round of the playoffs in the Superdome in New Orleans. And finally, at the funerals today in the Acadiana area, Aaron Trahan at Novell Church of the Nazarene, 105 Merchants Boulevard in Lafayette at 7 p.m. And that, my folks, is the broadcast for this morning. This has been Local News Live for January 11th, 2021. I'm your reader, Bruce Cohen. You can join us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on AOC1, Cypress Street Radio, our streaming radio service, or our YouTube channel on AOC Community Media. You can read these stories and more at advocate.com and find out how to volunteer and more at aocinc.org. That's aocinc.org. Just go to our homepage, pull down the volunteer tab, go to the volunteer newspaper reading form, fill that out, and Miss Mandy or Mr. Matt will be in touch with you and set you all up. We've been doing these broadcasts from our home studios since the pandemic has kept us away from the AOC studios, which I really miss the podcast booth. But such be it, we're still able to bring you the news every Monday through Friday. This is Bruce Cohen. Will always be Bruce Cohen. I implore you to stay healthy, safe, and smart. Continue to be smart, folks. Continue the protocols. This thing is not going away anytime soon. In fact, there are stronger variants out there, so just be careful, be smart, wear your mask, do all the protocols. I don't have to tell you, I've been telling you for months now, just keep it up and be smart about it. And as always, please be kind to each other. Have a great day. We'll see you on the flip-flop.